Welcome to another Indie Dev Showcase, highlighting the many indie games we play here on the channel. If you'd like to submit a game for a future video, please reach out. But otherwise, let's begin. We're starting off this week's showcase with Waves of Steel. This is an arcade-style naval combat game. It is up to you to defend the oceans from bad guys, doing all kinds of realistic naval maneuvers such as water dashing, kick flips, and more. This game kind of, I guess, takes the approach of like EDF, but for naval vessels. While the general gameplay is 100% on the arcade side, it does feature a very extensive ship customization where you can attach different weapons, different parts, and more to your naval vessel in order to deal with all the myriad of enemies. The footage you're seeing is taken from early in the game, but the story page does promote things get even odder as you go along. Now, the ship customization can be a little overwhelming, but this game is definitely going to be for someone who's looking for more arcade action on the high seas. So this one may not appeal to everyone, but if the thought of doing kick flips in your own battleship sounds appealing to you, then you should at least give this one a check. We now turn to Otherwar. This is a tower defense meets bullet hell where you must defend your keep from invading demons. Our kind of hook here is that you'll set down towers as you normally would, but you need to also dodge the myriad of bullets that are coming your way and patterns from all the enemies. Towers can be upgraded, and things can quickly escalate out of control. You can increase the speed as well as the difficulty of each map. Win or lose, you'll be able to take your accumulated currencies to unlock different things on a passive tree, such as giving your angel more damage, more movement speed, etc. And this game is definitely set up that you need that persistent element if you want to have any chance of winning on the higher difficulties. Now that does also mean that, similar to that of something like Defender's Quest, you're not going to be able to push into playing on hard on every map right at the beginning. You simply just don't have the abstraction and the stat bonuses on your side for it. But this one was fairly entertaining, and again, it is definitely going to be on the challenging side, as you must not only manage where your angel is and how your towers are doing, but also be able to dodge everything that is coming your way. So, if you like a little bullet hell in your tower defense, then this one can certainly be worth a check. We now turn to Voltaire the Vegan Vampire. The footage you're seeing is taken from early access, but the game was released at the end of 2023. Here we play as Voltaire, well, a vegan vampire, and with his family trying to force him to drink blood, he decides to make a move out into the wilderness and take up residence at one of his relatives' house. In order to stave off the invading monsters, he must grow various fruits and vegetables to not only sate his hunger, but also defend his home. The game itself kind of plays like a more, I guess, friendlier version of Don't Starve. Each day is split between the day and night cycle. During the day, you'll explore and either grow, harvest crops, try to collect resources that you can use for upgrades or producing additional things out in the wilderness, and kind of best prepare for the invaders at night. When night comes, you must use your abilities as well as your grown fruits and vegetables in order to fight against the different enemies. Enemies will come in larger and larger waves and will try and destroy your crops. All the while, you must be growing in order to have enough food to keep yourself going. If your hunger gauge runs out, you are in big trouble. There is persistence in the form of unlocking permanent upgrades, and you're going to be trying to keep going day after day and seeing how long you can last. This one is definitely going for like the later side of the, again, Don't Starve, survival crafting, farming formula. Now, with that said, because I didn't get a chance to play this at 1.0, yeah, I can't tell you how much things have changed, but this one definitely looks like it is going to be a solid game for someone who likes the kind of survival farmer side without the super difficulty, perfect optimization required elements of it. So if you enjoy a little bit of gardening with your base building and looking for a lighter side of things, then I would at least give this one a check. We now turn to Scorchlands, and this is played while it was in early access and is still in early access as of the time we're recording this. What we have here is kind of a logistics take on a city builder slash like turn-based like civilization style game. How this one works is that while you can see me moving around in real time, everything is static and kind of instant. When I place down a building, I immediately get those resources, or those resources are immediately transferred to my city. The challenge of this one is that you are trying to build out and create successful colonies, which you can then use to collect more resources and alter the world around you, adding in new biomes. Every new biome presents a new challenge as well as new resources, which you can then fold into your production chains. You'll need to harvest resources in order to collect kind of the needed resource to upgrade your tech, which will unlock new structures, more ways of building, etc, etc. So another twist of this one is that instead of you just setting up shipping routes and transports from A to B, you need to set up kind of like mirrors and like transport lasers around the map to connect from one colony to the next. There is this kind of quasi-combat meets puzzle system as well, as you take troops out with the goal to surround enemies and kind of beat them with the power of numbers. There's no like risk or reward here. Like if you lose, you just kind of go back to the start and rinse and repeat. But it allows you to open up more of the map, get more resources, and so on. This one is a very interesting take on the whole logistics building style game. Now, when we played this in early access, it was still pretty, well, early in terms of its development, but I really liked what I was seeing with it. I liked it when we played the demo earlier in 2023. This is definitely one worth keeping an eye on, especially if you're interested in a different kind of logistic style game, and this is one that I do want to play more of whenever it leaves early access and is at 1.0. We now turn to Boots Quest DX. This is a kind of adventure slash RPG where you are on the quest for boots. That's it. You're not here to save the world or defeat evil or stop chaos. You are just out looking for some really great footwear. The game itself is about exploring this world, looking for a myriad of items, collectibles, MacGuffins, and boots, in order to get further in, find more footwear, and figure out just what everyone else is doing here in this strange land. If you're looking for a very challenging and very combat-heavy RPG, this is certainly not that game. It definitely leans more towards adventure slash puzzle design, as you'll need to solve a myriad of quests, get more boots, you can get different upgrades which will let you explore more of the world, and just keep going and going. Now, I had to zoom in the footage here because we couldn't get it to go like really full screen, although things could have been changed since we played this in 2023. But I was enjoying this one. Again, this is designed to be a very short and funny and well-written adventure game. So if you love footwear and kind of enjoy going on an adventure to find more, I would at least recommend giving this one a check. For our last game of the showcase this week, we turn to Steelborn. This is a kind of Blaster Master-esque Metroidvania. We have landed on a colony planet after distress signals come in from a facility to find that aliens, monsters, and more are causing trouble. And it's up to us and our giant mech in order to save the day. The game itself is split between kind of driving your mech around on the kind of surface of the planet and then going underground for more 2D action Metroidvania gameplay on foot. You'll get access to different upgrades, and you'll need to use both weapon and sword in order to get around. The game itself was okay. It's a little bit, I guess I would say, floaty in terms of your moving and jumping, especially when you're trying to hit like smaller targets. This one was an interesting title. From what we played of it, I didn't see like a whole lot in terms of, I guess, like interesting gameplay with the mech. What we saw was kind of more of an action puzzle where you need to get the mech to specific areas in order to move forward, but you'll need to get on foot to drop a bridge, destroy a barricade, etc, etc. And the mech itself is on the slow side. It's going for very cumbersome kind of mech walking. But the two loops here certainly do work, at least from what we played of it, and there's a decent variety in terms of the puzzle design and the action gameplay. Boss fights seem to be a little bit more on the kind of slower pace, especially if you're fighting them with your mech, while they're more action heavy if you're fighting them on foot. This is one I would recommend if you're looking for a kind of Blaster Master-esque Metroidvania, but if you're looking for one that is very kind of fine-tuned in terms of its movement and combat design, then I don't think this one will quite work for you, but it's still a very interesting take on the genre nonetheless. And with that, we're going to wrap things up for this week's showcase. You'll find links to all the games down below, and if you'd like me to play your game for a future stream and video, as always, please reach out. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to do the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon, and come back for daily discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you examine the art and science of games.